Hello and welcome to my channel. It's the Network Specialist. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so that you know each and every time I upload a video. Everything I will discuss in this video is alleged and in my very own opinion, used for entertainment purposes only. Today I will be covering hot topics, and today I will be talking about a woman shot in the BBL, Buttocks, whatever the case may be, after going to a Miami home where her boyfriend was inside. Okay. Now, before I get into my commentary, I do want to make a few announcements. Hey, Mama Bees, thank you so much for being here. And she said that she will be in the bushes. And thank you so much, Mama Bees. Not a problem. So, guys, I also wanted to say that my birthday is on Saturday. So, shout out to that. My birthday is on Saturday, September 27th. And also, I will be on vacation. Now, that does not mean that I won't be coming live, but what that does mean is, times may vary. So, the times that I go live, more than likely will vary because I will be living my best life. I will be on vacation. I will be resting. I will be massaging or just whatever the hell I want to do. Okay. Because guess what? It's my birthday and it's all about me. So let me go ahead and share my screen so that we can get into it. So, first, we're going to read the article. Okay, this happened on Saturday. We're going to read the article and we're going to get into some things, okay? Because we need we need to know, is this a copycat? Are we going to see a spike in these type of situations because of what happened in Chicago, okay, with Romika. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and then we're going to also go over what the stand your ground law means in Florida. And we're going to focus on Florida with that because this particular situation happened in Florida. So let me go ahead and remove this and we'll get into it. Okay. Okay, so let's get into this article, guys. It says, woman shot in the rear after going to Miami Gardens woman's house where her boyfriend was inside, cops say. So this is a picture of the young lady who is now arrested, and it says, and this happened in Miami Gardens, Florida. A woman went to another woman's home in Miami Gardens on Saturday, knowing her boyfriend was inside, police said. She left with gunshot wounds to the buttocks and back area, and the other woman left in handcuffs. The shooting happened just before 9:50 a.m. in the 3000 block of Northwest 184th Street. Miami Gardens police said the victim told investigators she had been driving in the area and saw her boyfriend's Mercedes Benz parked outside the home of 25-year-old Janaya Imani Mehta. According to an arrest record, she told detectives that she then went to the front door, knocked, and asked her boyfriend to come outside. The victim reported that as she began walking from the front door westbound toward a side gate, Meta opened the front door, stepped outside onto the porch, and fired two shots in her direction while stating, "Get from my house," the report states. Authorities said the victim identified the shooter as Janaya. Police would find the victim parked at nearby Walt Frazier Park, and medics took her to HCA Florida Aventura Hospital for treatment. The woman's boyfriend drove away after the shooting, but police said they caught up to him. He thought he was just going to slip away like nothing happened. According to the report, he told police that he had been inside Meta's residence in her bedroom when someone knocked at the front door. He explained that he did not answer the door because it was not his residence. However, Meta went to the door and shortly thereafter, he heard gunshots. Police said Meta told investigators that the woman had banged on her door and yelled that she was going to beat her ass. Authorities said Meta recognized the victim from a prior incident involving the same boyfriend. According to police, she said she shot the woman after she observed her walking toward the side gate of the residence. Police arrested Meta on a charge of attempted murder. As of Monday, Meta was being held without bond in the Turner Guilford Night Correctional Center. So, guys, what do you think about this? This is crazy. Okay. This is crazy. And let me stop sharing that. Hey, CC, thank you so much for being here. So, guys, I don't know if we're getting ready to have an epidemic on our hands. Okay. So, the next thing I want to do is I want to kind of go over the stand your ground law because I think a lot of people are getting ready to be arrested because they do not understand the stand your ground law. So, let me just go over this and let me just tell you guys why I don't think that this is going to work for this young lady. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And this was actually put out on yesterday. And I think it was put out yesterday by this attorney's office because this is a very hot topic right now. And these people need to know that they're going to jail if they cannot prove that they were in fear for their life. So they need to understand this law before they think that they're going to get off for shooting someone. Now, when it comes to this situation, I kind of have mixed feelings. Let me go ahead and say that. I have mixed feelings because to some degree, this lady should have never come to this woman's home. Okay. So she was definitely wrong, but that doesn't make it right for this woman to shoot her. Okay. So this article came from the Pumphrey Law Criminal Defense Office, and this was just published on yesterday, September 23rd. And it says, in Florida, stand your ground is a prominent state law that is often discussed in the context of shootings in self defense. But there is often a lack of understanding regarding the specifics of Florida's stand your ground law. And it says this blog will answer frequently asked questions about stand your ground in Florida. So, number one, what is Florida Stand Your Ground Law? Florida Stand Your Ground Law allows someone to use or threaten to use deadly force as a reasonable and proportionate response to a danger to themselves, others or to prevent the commission of a forcible felony. It applies so long as someone was not engaged in illegal activity and had a lawful right to be where the force was. Number two, what are the components of stand your ground law? The stand your ground law is made up of five key statutes: Florida Statute 776-012, 776-013, 776-031, 776-032, and 776-041. Under Florida Statute 776-012, someone is justified in using non-deadly force if it is reasonably necessary to defend themselves against another's imminent use of unlawful force, can be either deadly or non-deadly. The statute also provides that deadly force can be used or threatened if it reasonably believed to be necessary to prevent death or great bodily harm to themselves, others, or to prevent the commission of a forcible felony. There is no duty to retreat if someone is lawfully present. Let me repeat that. There is no duty to retreat if someone is lawfully present. Florida Statute 776-013 extends this protection to someone lawfully located in their home. If someone is in their residence, they are presumed to have a fear of imminent peril of death or great bodily harm. If someone unlawfully enters, with the exception of a police officer who is engaged in the performance of their official duties and has identified themselves. Florida State 776-013 also states that a person who unlawfully enters or attempts to unlawfully enter an occupied vehicle or home by force is presumed to be doing so with the intent to commit an illegal act involving force or violence. This strengthens a stand your ground claim if a lawful occupant uses deadly or non deadly force against them. Florida Statute 776031 allows someone to use non deadly force to prevent trespass or other tortious or criminal interference with someone's private property. It also notes that deadly force is only permitted in defense of property if it is necessary to prevent the imminent commission of a forcible felony. Florida Statute 776032, someone who uses or threatens to use force in accordance with Florida Statute 776-012, 776-013, and 776-031 is immune from criminal prosecution and civil action stemming from the use or threatened use of force. No, Florida Statute 776032 permits someone to still be held criminally and civilly liable if the victim was a police officer engaged in the performance of their official duties, identified themselves. Now, I'm going to repeat that because this is where I believe this young lady went wrong. If a person comes to your door and identifies themselves, and the person knew or reasonably should have known the person against whom the force was used was law enforcement. Okay, so the fact that she knew this person that came to her door, and because this lady said that she knocked on the door, I believe that this lady will do this time because she is not covered, in my opinion, by the stand your ground law. Because she knew the person, it did not appear that the lady was using, deadly harm or anything like that. Number three, what does reasonable mean in the context of stand your ground Someone is said to have used or threatened force reasonably if reasonable and prudent person situated in the same circumstances and knowing what the defendant knew would have used the same force as did the defendant. Number 4, is this an object or subjective standard? This is an objective standard. The question is not whether the defendant personally believed that their use of force was reasonable, as this would lead to automatic acquittal as soon as someone claimed they believed they were acting reasonably. The key is whether a reasonable person is placed in the defendant's shoes at the time the force was used or threatened would have been legally justified in using or threatening that same force. So I'm going to repeat that. If any reasonable person, if placed in the defendant's shoes at that time the force was used, would have been legally justified in using or threatening that same force. Okay, that's very important. Number 5, why is it called stand your ground? The law is referred to a stand your ground because there is no duty to retreat. The duty to retreat is known as the castle doctrine, which essentially states that someone must attempt to move themselves from a threatening situation before using deadly force if they are not located in their home or on their property or in the vehicle. However, which this lady could have not opened her door at all. However, the Florida legislation did anyway with the Castle Doctrine by codifying stand your ground. Florida Statute 776012 specifically reads, a person who uses or threatens to use deadly force in accordance with this subsection does not have a duty to retreat and has the right to stand his or her ground if the person using or threatening to use the deadly force is not engaged in a criminal activity and is in a place where he or she has a right to be. And it also says the relevant question under stand your ground is whether someone has a lawful right to be in a particular location. And this lady didn't have a lawful right, but she was going there because her boyfriend was there. So she somewhat had a reason to be there. And that's questionable. And whether or not they are engaged in criminal activity. If they are lawfully present and not engaged in criminal activity, force, including deadly force, is authorized without a duty to retreat if it is reasonable and proportional. Number 6, what if someone has a mental illness and thought they were acting reasonably? If someone has a mental illness such as PTSD and this causes them to use force unreasonably, Florida does not recognize this as a valid basis for a stand your ground claim. The presence of a mental illness cannot be used to legally justify someone's use or threatened use of force if it was objectively unreasonable. However, the presence of physical conditions, someone is bound to a wheelchair or significantly weaker than their attacker, can be considered in evaluating the reasonableness of someone's use or threatened use of force. Number 7, what is pretrial immunity hearing? In Florida, it is required that someone who asserts a stand your ground defense via a motion to dismiss receive a pretrial immunity hearing to determine whether someone is immune from prosecution due to the stand your ground prosecutions. A pretrial immunity hearing involves the trial court weighing and resolving factual disputes regarding the defendant's use of force to determine whether the case should be dismissed. Number 8, what actually happens at the pretrial immunity hearing? During the stand your ground pretrial immunity hearing, the defense must first present a prima facie on its face case of lawful self-defense, defense of others, or use of force to prevent the commission of forcible felonies. This does not have to be proven by the defense, but facts must be alleged that, if true, entitle the defendant to stand your ground immunity. If this is done, the state must disprove the defense's claim of pretrial immunity by clear and convincing evidence. If the state does not successfully, the case will advance to trial. However, if the state fails to defeat the prima facie claim, the charges are to be dismissed. Number 9, who is a forcible felony? Treason, murder, manslaughter, sexual battery, carjacking, robbery, burglary, arson, kidnapping, aggravated battery, aggravated assault, aggravated stalking, aircraft privacy, unlawful throwing, placing, and discharge of a bomb, any other felony offense involving the use or threat of physical force or violence against an individual. If a forcible felony is being or is about to be committed, someone may use or threaten to use force under stranger ground if it is reasonable, proportional, and necessary to prevent the forcible felony. Number 10, and we're going to stop at number 10 because this is a lot. If someone loses at the immunity hearing, can stand your ground still be used at trial? Yes, someone can still invoke stand your ground at trial if the state disproves a stand your ground claim by clear and convincing evidence at the immunity hearing, as beyond a reasonable doubt is an even higher standard than clear and convincing evidence. A stand your ground defense at trial may work despite a judge finding a lack of lawful basis for use or threatened use of force at a pretrial hearing. Whether to also raise stand your ground at trial must be determined on a case by case basis. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. And Cece said, people have to stop going to other people's homes or spaces. It's a new day with too many pow pows. Exactly. So that brings me to my next point, Cece. So I'm going to read some of the comments because people had a lot to say. And pretty much they agreed with Cece on the fact that you cannot just show up at people's residence, even if your husband, your boyfriend, whatever the case may be, you cannot just show up at people's houses. Like in this day and time, it's very dangerous to do so, and people have to protect themselves and their property. Now, we know that this lady was not coming there to do any burglary or anything like that. So let's just go ahead and read this first comment. This is why they want guns in the state so that they can pick and choose who goes to jail. This girl was in her home and she got charged. It's not a victim if she came to fight with another girl, but now she got her man back because she not getting out. And I totally agree with this person. She's not getting out. This does not constitute stand your ground law. And this person said, this is by far the stupidest act I've ever seen any woman do. 49 years, 2 marriages, and nobody can ever say I did this. I love me more than him. You can bet that. That part. And it's just crazy that a woman who probably has kids is willing to risk it all over a ninja that is at another woman's house. And this person said, I hope she doesn't think she can claim stand your ground. Shaking my head. Idiot. Shoot over a man. Exactly. So I agree this does not constitute the stand your ground law because she could not have opened up the door. She could have waited till she felt like she was more in fear before she acted on shooting this victim. This person said, unfortunately, a lot of people may go to jail because they don't know the law or just by having pow pow and not using it correctly. And again, I agree. There's going to be a lot of people locked up because everybody is running out and purchasing pow pows, and thinking that they have the right to just shoot people because they have a license to carry. And that is so not true. Okay. That's BS. Who do the laws apply to? Someone shows up to your home and threatens you, and you don't have the right to protect yourself and your property. And she needs to leave that piece of shit alone now. Getting shot over a cheater, you will keep getting shot because he won't stop ever. Okay. So, yes, he's going to be on living his life. Meanwhile, you have to recover from your injuries, and the side chick is in jail. And this person said, y'all gonna learn about these men when they choose who they want and it ain't you. Let him go. Okay. If he doesn't want to be with you or if he wants to go between you and another person, let him go. Like, this man doesn't appear to be married to either of these women. So is it really risk going to jail or having injuries? And this person said, y'all dummies willing to die or lose your freedom for a no good ninja. This stupid act is on the rise, and y'all see where it's getting y'all. All the while he looking for his next set. Come on, ladies. And you know what's crazy to me? Like, all of these women are running out and purchasing pow pows and getting the right to carry, but instead of shooting the men who are abusing them, they're shooting other women to defend themselves against these no good piece of shit men. And this person said, you can't just shoot a person in the back. That's another reason why I feel like she will not be able to use the stand your ground law, is because she shot this woman in the back, specifically the buttock area. So that means that that lady had her back turned to her. That could potentially mean that she was walking away. This person said, stop going to people's house about a no good man. And I couldn't agree more. This lady was shot in the back. So she was obviously not a threat to this lady. And she still chose to shoot this woman. Luckily for her, the woman didn't die, so it's not going to, be a murder charge, but she's still going to face some serious charges for shooting this woman when she was not in fear of her life. Now, I am going to be keeping up with this story to see how all of this plays out. Women shooting other women is definitely on the rise, and I do anticipate more copycat stories of this type because of what happened in Chicago. Hopefully not, but women, we really need to get it together because at the end of the day, you're going to be in jail, and this man is going to go on with his life and many more side chicks. So, guys, I am going to end this video on that note. I hope you were able to gain some valuable information. And, guys, if you did not like the video on your way in, please like the video on your way out. And if you just happen to be catching the replay, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop down in the comment section so that we can keep this conversation going, because I got a feeling it's going to come up again. And Cece says, right, I agree. Okay. And you have a blessed day as well, Cece. Thank you guys for watching, and bye for now.